The Honda Magna just might be the most underrated cruiser there is. And I'm about to show you why this forgotten gem just might be the fastest cheap cruiser you can buy. This bike alone was crowned the first muscle cruiser. Well, not exactly this bike, but the first generation, which was an 1100cc V4 from the 80s. Yeah, just like Aprilia and Ducati do now, 1100cc V4s in the 80s. This particular bike is the third generation, which I personally think looks the best. But it does make less power and has displacement, only being a 750, comparatively speaking to the first generation V65, which was an 1100. This bike makes 87 horsepower out of its 749cc V4, which, as you know, is a sweet spot for newer riders in this modern day middleweight class that we love so much. I really hate to say it, but the prices of these things are at like rock bottom. You can pick one of these things up for about $2,000 running with low miles. I got each of these for 1,200 bucks. And with a carb rebuild and a good set of tires, we were good to go.
Now, strangely enough, this bike is dead reliable. I have a few bikes, all of which are newer than this Magna. And for some reason, every time it comes time to get ready to go to Daytona for Bike Week, I find myself getting this bike ready. I've owned this bike for 7 years and it's never let me down.
Well, there was that one time that the rectifier basically fried my battery, but that was a $100 fix, so we're not gonna count it.
This bike, being a V4, gives it a few good things. The first thing is torque. With 51 foot-pounds of torque, cruising at slow speeds on this bike, just like this, is effortless, which is what everybody preaches about on the modern twins. But this bike was doing it in the 80s and 90s.
Another amazing thing with this bike being a V4 is symmetry. I absolutely despise when a bike looks like this. It literally makes it look like one of the headlights is out all the time. I don't like it. Give me symmetry. And that's exactly what this bike does. But in a way you didn't know you needed. Quad exhaust pipes. 2 pipes on the right, 2 pipes on the left, and those mean looking 4 pipes out the back. Let's see MV Agusta do that. Oh yeah, and this particular bike has the very sought after Vance and Hines pipes. They're discontinued, they're very, very hard to get. But on top of looking good, they sound like this. And for $2,000, there is not a better sounding bike. I can guarantee that.
So this bike's actually very interesting to ride at the same time. It has taller bars and a lower seat for the most part. I mean, I understand that, you know, there's apes nowadays. But when this bike came out, it had a fairly low seat height, decently tall bars, and it has a tall suspension. So it's really soft and compliant. But when you actually turn into these turns, the pegs are really far off the ground, so it has a good lean angle. So it's actually a really soft, comfortable ride, but it leans and flicks very easily. Honestly, I would say that this is probably one of the most comfortable bikes I've ever ridden. It's firm in the corners, has long, comfortable travel, very similar to what we get out of naked bikes today.
Brakes. This bike has a rear drum brake, which, well, it sucks. But who needs rear brakes anyways? The single-sided front rotor, it gets the job done, I guess. It's old, it could use better brakes, but it really does get the job done. I've never felt like this bike could benefit from bigger or stronger brakes.
But what the bike doesn't have in brakes, it makes up for right here. Oh man. Listen, and that's not to say that the brakes aren't adequate. The brakes are more than enough for the actual speed and weight of the bike. They really do get the job done. They're just not up to par with modern brakes. But leaning this thing is just so easy and fun. I could literally do this all day. Let's slow down before we run into the back of that vehicle.
Trust me, there are a lot faster motorcycles nowadays. But this bike has a surge of power right around 6,000 RPM that even here off the brake literally makes me smile just thinking about it. This bike was a grand slam of the 90s. It has a unique engine, broad power band, awesome looks, and glorious sound. It's a complete package. Ask around. So many people have owned and loved awesome Magnas just like this. It's time for Honda to get back to making awesome bikes just like this one. And that's just another reason why I think old bikes rule. Thank you guys for watching. If you want to see another classic bike review of the first generation R1, check out this one right here.